Congratulations on your choice of the new Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. With your Home Bakery Mini, you'll be baking a variety of fresh, healthful breads for you and your family whenever you want, even daily, with just minutes of preparation time, even if you don't know anything about baking. With your new simple-to-use Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini, you'll be making delicious breads, rolls, croissants, pastas, jams, and more, just like a professional. And because it's compact, you can take your Mini with you. Wouldn't it be great to wake up to the smell of fresh baked bread in the morning on that ski trip or in the college dorm? I'm going to show you how to get started, so let's begin with a quick tour. The Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini is very compact and takes up very little room on the counter, and the sturdy handle makes it easy to move and carry. The lid opens easily using the handy lip. Inside, you'll see the baking pan. To remove the baking pan, pull up the handle and gently rotate it to the left. The pan will release and you can lift it out. This is the kneading blade. You attach the kneading blade flat side down by matching the hole with the shape of the rotating shaft in the baking pan, like this, and it slides securely. To reset the baking pan, just place it in slightly angled to the left and then shift it gently to the right. Make sure not to hit the heating element. Now, the brain of the Home Bakery Mini is the control panel. Let's begin with the Start Reset key here, which turns the machine on and starts or cancels a process. This is the operation lamp, which turns on while the home bakery is operating. The timer button here allows you to delay your baking up to 13 hours. The Mode Select button lets you choose the dough preparation and baking course you prefer. The crust control allows you to choose regular or light crusts. And to make cakes and jams, you choose here and here. When you want to make cookie or pasta dough, you select here. The display window gives you all the information you need to know for each one of your selections. I'll talk more about that later. Your Home Bakery Mini came with a measuring cup and a special spoon. The cup is to be used for measuring liquids only. When it's filled to the brim, that's a cup. Accurate measurements are very important when using an automatic bread maker. This handy spoon measures 1 tablespoon on the large end and 1 teaspoon on the smaller end. You'll notice that both ends have a line around the middle. That line indicates half a teaspoon on the smaller end and half a tablespoon on the larger end. That's our quick tour of your Home Bakery Mini. Now, let's go over some basic safety precautions. To ensure that you have years of continuous use from your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini, there are a few basic safety precautions you must follow. Notice that the home bakery has a steam vent here. And in order for your unit to work safely, the vent must be clear. So when your home bakery is working, be sure that nothing is directly above it, such as shelves or cabinets. When the home bakery is working, it will get hot, so avoid touching it. Also, don't place your home bakery near sources of heat, such as gas or electric stoves, ovens, or burners. Never move your home bakery while it is in operation. Always use oven mitts when the unit is hot. To disconnect your home bakery from the electrical outlet when the bread maker is in operation, first, press and hold Start Reset until you hear a beep and the operation lamp turns off. Then, remove the plug from the wall. Never tug or pull on the cord. Please read the important safeguards section of your owner's manual for all of the safety precautions. Keeping to the safeguards will ensure years of safe use with your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. Now it's time to bake your first bread in your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. We're going to make a loaf of basic white bread. You'll find these instructions on page 10 of your manual. Open the lid of your Home Bakery Mini and lift up the handle of the baking pan. Gently turn the baking pan to the left. You'll feel it release. Lift it out. Set the kneading blade onto the shaft in the baking pan and make sure it drops down securely. Now you are ready to measure your ingredients. Successful baking requires very accurate measurements. For liquids, use the plastic cup that came with your Home Bakery Mini or a clear glass measuring cup. To measure dry ingredients, use a set of nested measuring cups, plastic or metal. You'll want to take a look at page 7 of your manual for measuring tips. First, let's measure our water. We want 2/3 of a cup of water for our basic white bread. Place the cup on a level surface and fill it to the amount called for by the recipe. Look to make sure you have the exact amount. Pour the water into the baking pan. Now we'll put in the 2 cups of flour our recipe calls for. It's best to use bread flour as fresh as possible. Take your measuring cup and fill it with the flour using a spoon. Packing it too tight is a mistake that beginners often make. Then, using the backside of a knife, level it off and put it into the baking pan. Don't pack it into the cup, scoop it with the nested cup, or sift the flour. Just gently spoon it into the cup. It's easy and it's accurate. Following our recipe on page 12 of the manual, we'll add the ingredients in the order listed. Next is sugar, 1½ tablespoons. Use the measuring spoon that came with your Home Bakery Mini. Next, we'll add 1½ tablespoons of dry milk. Next, salt. We want 1½ teaspoons. Now we'll add the butter, which should be at room temperature. Most cubes of butter come with measurements indicated on the wrapper. Cut off 1 tablespoon of butter, divide it into quarters, and drop the pieces into the baking pan. The last ingredient is always the yeast. It's very important that you use fresh yeast. Outdated yeast may not do its job of making the bread rise. You can use active dry yeast that's in a jar or in a package. Check the expiration date on the package for freshness. If you use packaged yeast, 1 package equals over 2 teaspoons of yeast. If you're using yeast from a jar, you'll measure 1 teaspoon in your measuring spoon and level it off with a knife. Now, in the middle of the baking pan, make a little indentation with your spoon and then put the yeast in there. You do this so that the yeast doesn't come in contact with liquids and fail to rise. You'll see that we've been making layers here. Liquid on the bottom, dry ingredients in the middle, and the yeast on the top. This is the sequence you'll almost always follow when you make bread, dough, or cookies. Now take the baking pan by its handle, gently lower it into the Home Bakery Mini, tilting it slightly to the left and then to the right. You'll feel it lock into place. Put the handle down, close the lid, and plug in your Home Bakery Mini. It will blink in its default mode of 3 hours and 40 minutes, which is basic bread regular. That's what we want. Then set the crust control here to regular. Press Start Reset and the Home Bakery will begin its cycle with a beep. For basic bread, the first 20 minutes is a rest period. In the next 3 hours and 20 minutes, the Home Bakery will mix and knead the dough, let it rise, stir it down, let it rise again, stir it down again, let it rise one more time, and then bake the bread. About 30 minutes into the cycle, the home bakery will beep. This is when you may add other ingredients to your dough, such as raisins, dried fruit, or nuts. We won't be doing that here since we're just making basic bread. We suggest that you refer to page 13 of your manual for ideas and recipes for truly unique breads. After 3 hours and 40 minutes, the home bakery beeps to let you know that your bread is finished, but you'll already know that by the delicious aroma of fresh-made bread. Your Home Bakery Mini will continue to keep the loaf warm for 1 hour unless the Start Reset key is pressed and the unit is unplugged. Using oven mitts, lift the baking pan handle up. Gently turn it to the left and lift up. We recommend that you remove the bread after it is done to avoid reabsorbing moisture and becoming soggy. You easily remove the bread by shaking it out of the bread pan. If the bread is difficult to remove, twist the blade under the baking pan several times. If the kneading blade is stuck in the bottom of the loaf, wait for the bread to cool a bit. Then, pull it out by using a plastic utensil, such as a spatula. Don't use metal because it could scratch the coating on the blade. And remember, the blade is still likely to be very hot, so take precautions by using hot pads or oven mitts if you prefer. You're done! Now, wasn't that easy? The only hard thing about baking bread in your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini is waiting for the bread to cool. Now that you know how to make basic bread, let's take it a step further and learn how to delay baking times so that you can have hot, fresh bread later, in the morning when you wake up, or waiting for you when you come home from work or school. The timer feature on your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini lets you bake anytime you want for up to 13 hours from now. Remember that when you use this feature, you don't want to use perishable ingredients such as milk or eggs, as they may spoil during the waiting time. After you have filled your baking pan with ingredients for your bread, put the baking pan inside as usual and lock it. Close the lid and then plug in your Home Bakery Mini. Press Mode Select to choose the setting you want. The timer feature is used only for basic, soft, and French courses. I'll choose basic bread regular. Let's say it's 12 noon now, and I'd like my bread to be ready at 7. That's 7 hours from now. I'll set the timer to 7 hours. Using the up arrow of the timer, every time I press it, it advances 10 minutes. If I hold the arrow down, it advances rapidly. Oops, I went beyond the time I wanted. No problem. I'll just hit the down key. There. Now we're ready for the last step, which is simply to press the Start Reset key one last time and make sure the operation lamp turns on. My fresh hot bread will be waiting for me at 7 p.m. Do you want to bake your bread more quickly than the normal course of about 3.5 hours? With your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini, you can bake the same delicious bread in just 2 hours by using the quick baking feature. You prepare your basic bread just as you normally would, but with 2 exceptions. First, when you add the yeast, you will add rapid rise yeast. And second, you will use the Mode Select key and choose Quick Baking. That's all there is to it. Would you like to bake crusty French bread? It's easy in your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. First, simply follow the recipes for French breads on page 20 of your manual. Put the baking pan in the Home Bakery Mini. Then, using the Mode Select key, choose French bread. For basic French breads, you may use the timer to delay the baking if you like. Press Start, Reset. C'est très facile. What if you would just like to make dough, perhaps for rolls, croissants, pizzas, brioche, scones, pretzels, or cinnamon rolls, and shape them and add ingredients by hand? Your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini does that beautifully. Refer to pages 21 through 25 of your manual for the instructions and recipes. Prepare your recipe as usual in your baking pan and place it in your home bakery. Press Mode Select and choose the dough setting course. 1 hour and 45 minutes appears on the display. Press the Start Reset key. You'll hear a beep, and the unit will start its cycle, beginning with the resting process. In 1 hour and 45 minutes, you'll hear beeps and see Complete in the display window. Press and hold the Start Reset key. Open the lid and remove the baking pan. Then remove the dough. Remove the kneading blade if it comes along with the dough. Turn it out onto a lightly floured surface and shape your dough as you like. Did you know that your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini also makes great cookie and pasta dough? Refer to pages 26 through 29 of your manual for the instructions, recipes, and the order of ingredients. Remember that the water, eggs, and any other wet ingredients go first into the baking pan, followed by the dry ingredients. Put the baking pan into the home bakery and lock it by turning it to the right. Close the lid. Then press the cookie pasta dough key over here. The on-off light will begin to blink and you will not see a time function displayed. Now, press the Start Reset key. The machine will knead for 8 minutes. When the beep sounds, open the lid and gently push down any flour on the sides of the baking pan with a rubber spatula. That's the time to add additional ingredients such as chocolate chips or nuts or raisins. Close the lid, then press the Start Reset key again, and the machine will knead for 5 more minutes. If you don't press the Start Reset key, the machine will automatically resume kneading 20 minutes later. If at any time you want to cancel a process, just press and hold the Start Reset key until you hear the beep. When the machine is finished, it will beep and you will see Complete in the display window. Remove the baking pan and gently gather the dough from the center of the baking pan and place it on a lightly floured working surface. Follow the rest of the instructions in your manual for either cookies or pasta, and enjoy! Your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini also makes delicious cakes. Refer to pages 30 and 31 of your manual for cake instructions and recipes, and add the ingredients to the baking pan in the order listed. If you're using eggs, you want to be sure to beat the eggs lightly before you add them to the baking pan. Now use the Cake key to choose the cake course, and use the Crust Control key to select the crust you prefer. Then press the Start Reset key. The home bakery will turn on and knead for 5 minutes. When it beeps after 5 minutes, open the lid and using a rubber spatula, gently push down any flour on the sides of the baking pan. If there are any additional ingredients to add to your recipe, this is when you want to do it. When you're finished, close the lid and press the Start Reset key to restart, and the home bakery will resume. Now, cakes are by nature more fragile than breads, so we recommend that you remove the cake after the baking pan is cooled. I know, it's hard. We've covered making basic bread, French bread, cookie and pasta dough, and cakes. Now it's time for a very special treat, making jam in your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. In about 1 hour and 20 minutes, you can take fruit from the store, from your garden, or from the farmer's market and make delicious, additive, and preservative-free jam. You'll be starting as usual, consulting the recipes on page 32 in your manual, and then adding the ingredients in the order listed. When you make jam, you pre-crush the fruit. Put the baking pan in the unit and lock it into place. Press the jam key. The jam light will begin to blink and 1 hour and 20 minutes will show in the display window. Press the Start Reset key. The home bakery will turn on and begin its cycle. The jam will get very hot. When the cycle is completed and you hear the beeps, you can remove the jam from the baking pan using a rubber spatula or wait for it to cool. Take care not to burn yourself. You will have about a cup of unbelievably delicious natural jam. Could it be easier? Now that you know about all of the wonderful features of the Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini, you'll want to be sure to treat it well so that you have many years of delicious baking ahead of you. Be sure to read your manual thoroughly for maintenance and safety information. There is a non-stick coating on the inside of the baking pan and on the kneading blade, so take care not to scratch those surfaces with abrasive cleaners, scrubbing brushes, hard nylon sponges, or metal brushes. Don't wash the bottom of the baking pan with water, immerse it in water, or run it through the dishwasher. There are other important cleaning and maintenance tips in your manual, so please be sure to read about them. Doing these simple things will ensure years of happy baking with your Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. Finally, you may have questions if your baking does not produce satisfactory results. In that case, your manual contains a very comprehensive troubleshooting guide to the most common problems. For more information, go to www.zojirushi.com. Also, you may call customer service at the toll-free number at the bottom of the screen, and they'll be happy to help guide you to more successful baking. Thank you for taking the time to learn about your new Zojirushi Home Bakery Mini. We wish you many years of delicious baking.